I didn't.
I thought it said record when I got on here.
No, I was streaming it to Facebook. Live stream to Facebook. Okay, so if you don't know, I'm David Creel. And if you don't know me, I'm wondering how you got this Zoom link to begin with. But let's assume that we all know each other. Okay, so me and Judy and about 2,000 of our other friends went to the first ever Brendon Burchard GrowthDay live event in Austin, Texas. It was about 2 weeks ago. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago today, actually, is when the first day was. I had very high expectations, and I can comfortably say it exceeded my expectations, like by a lot. If you don't know who Brendon Burchard is, he wrote this book, High Performance Habits, along with several other books as well, Millionaire Messenger, Manifesto, that one, and then Life's Golden Ticket, which is an awesome read. And he also has what GrowthDay is there's an app called the GrowthDay app, and it's got all the people that, not all the people, but a lot of the people that were at this seminar, and it's like a hub for personal development. It's got journals, it's got daily, it's called Daily Fire with Brendon Burchard. So the deal about the Daily Fire is it's about whatever he says, but at the end of the day, at midnight, it goes away, like forever. So you've got to listen to it that day, and you can journal and you can set reminders. Anyways, it's awesome. Okay, so we get in there. This event was Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 9:30 to about 7:30, with about a 2-hour break for lunch, and then 9:30 to almost 3 on Sunday, with no break for lunch. And it was just, fire hydrant, it's not even the word. You're drinking from the Hoover Dam. It's ridiculous how much stuff we covered. But all that being said, what I'm going to do on this is I've got 20. They gave us one of these journals, GrowthDay journal, and I've got this much of it as notes. So there is absolutely no chance I can go through all that today. But what I'm probably going to do over the next several weeks, I'm just going to go through all this stuff, and I'll keep doing this for a few weeks so I can get through all of it. The very first thing he said right out of the box, as soon as he introduced himself, this is Brendon Burchard talking. There's always something that gets in the way of your growth. Whether it's someone else's schedule or emergencies, or actual real, like the house is on fire emergencies. But it's whenever you tend to schedule it and you block it into your day, like this is happening, then nothing else kind of gets in the way. Like one of the things that I've been doing since I went to the conference is I added to my morning routine where I do the morning journal prompts in GrowthDay. I do it first, like before I check my email, before I get on social media, because by definition, what's done first, nothing else can get in the way of, because that's it, only one thing can be first. But right out of the gate, there's always something that gets in the way of your growth. And what he said is, we're going to work what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes, and what we talked about on the conference is just foundational mindset work. Think of it like a building. You can judge how tall the building is by how far underground it goes. And the deeper it goes under the ground, the taller the structure can be. But he says, and I've heard other people say this too, but then he said, you're probably not going to learn anything that you've never heard before, but common sense isn't always common practice, because we all know what to do. We all know if you want to lose weight, or you want to grow a coaching business or a music business, or you want to do Pilates or whatever you're into, time and attention. I know like Janine likes gardening, and she's got a little garden. Well, whatever. You've told me you've had a little garden before, but anyways, gardening, if you just set the whatever you're trying to grow in the ground and you don't ever mess with it again, the weeds are going to take it over. But if you give it a little time and attention, you know, a little water, a little pruning, making sure the weeds aren't robbing the plant of the nutrients it needs from the ground, then even the least green thumb peep person on the planet, which you're looking at, can grow something with a little time and attention. So whatever you put your time and attention on, that's what grows. And then he said, you know, like we did things where we stood up a lot while he was talking, just because, you know, he went 3 to 5 hours a day for basically 4 straight days without a single note or teleprompter. It was just off the top of his head, which I couldn't believe, frankly. But so he had us get up a lot and just move our bodies a little bit. He said the tension that we're carrying, like if we've had a bad day, or we're stressed out about whatever, and we take that into a meeting, he said, other people can feel the tension that we're carrying. Or if we lack confidence, or we lack, this person is super intelligent or super whatever, I'm not very smart, people can pick that up. And Brendon said something. All this is Brendon. This is the very first session. That's all we're going to talk about today. But then he said something which also applies to me. He said, you want to hear about my lucky advantage. Now, whether you believe in luck or not, I personally don't believe in luck in any way, shape, or form. But let's say his lucky advantage, or his unfair advantage, what he said is, both my parents loved me and they were together. He said, that's my unlucky advantage. Now, I have the same deal. Like, my parents have been married 45 years or so, give or take. They're still married and they loved me. So that's an unfair advantage that I have. I know some people didn't have that. That doesn't mean you can't. That's just what Brendon said, which also applies to me, which I liked. Then he said, and which is what I do too. Brendon said, I'm a coach. I help you unlock your potential, because it's already inside of us. You know, Zig Ziglar said, you were born. He said, you were born into the seeds of greatness. And he said, you were endowed with the seeds of greatness and born to do something great. And then he said this, and I thought it was so funny, especially, I know everybody on the call is either a business owner or wants to be a business owner. And how many times have you said this? You wake up Monday morning and it's a fresh week and you're ready to go. And you're like, I can do this. I'm ready to go tackle the world, and I'm ready to get after it. And then by Thursday, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you say, why do I suck so bad? Why am I so terrible? You know, because life has a way of beating you down. But he said that's part of the deal, you know, because you signed up for this, you know. And this kind of goes into what Ed Milet said, who was the first guest. He said, think about it. He said, there's two kind of people in the world. There's merry-go-round people, and there's roller coaster people. Okay. The merry-go-round people, they'll be fine. They're not going to go very fast. They're not going to get hurt because you can jump off a merry-go-round. It's only going 1 mile an hour. It's not going to hurt you. But you just go up and down and you don't go anywhere. And you eventually keep seeing the same things over and over because it's a merry-go-round. There's not really ups, there's not really down because you don't go more than 2 or 3 foot. And it, depending on how big the ride or whatever is. But he said the roller coaster people, he said, look, there's ups and then there's downs, and there's ups and there's downs, and there's twists and there's turns and there's loops and all kinds of stuff. You still go, you're not going really anywhere, but they're a whole lot more fun than merry-go-rounds. If you're a roller coaster type person. But then Ed said, but basically in the history of the planet, nobody's changed the world on the merry-go-round because it's very slow and steady and just kind of plodding along. But the people that have changed the world, they're roller coaster people, which is what we kind of signed up for whenever we started an entrepreneurial journey. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and the highs are really, really high and the lows are really, really low. But I think it's good to know which one you're on. If you think you're on a roller coaster and you're actually on a merry-go-round, or you think you're on a merry-go-round and you're actually on a roller coaster, of course you're going to be saying to yourself by Thursday, why do I suck so bad? Why can't I talk to a single human being and help someone? But when it's up and it's down, that's just a part of the deal. That's the way it is, But once you get those two distinctions between a merry-go-round and a roller coaster, it may make life a little bit better for you. Just because, hey, like Les Brown said, Les Brown, the motivational speaker, he said, when things are good, you put it in your pocket. And when things are bad, you put it in your heart. Because, hey, not everybody's going to say yes, and you got to be okay with that. But you're on the roller coaster. But I mean, even if you don't like roller coasters, you have to admit that a roller coaster is way more fun than a merry-go-round. I mean, for me to get on a merry-go-round right now, they'd have to pay me to get on the merry-go-round. Now, a roller coaster, I'll gladly pay because I love roller coasters. We went to Universal Studios last year in Florida, and don't worry about this, haters. Okay, it's fine. I've never seen Harry Potter, not 1 second of it. And I've never seen, I know this is May the 4th, and that has something to do with Star Wars or something. I've never seen that either.
Stop it.
No, not a second of it. No clue. No clue. Okay. This is how little I know about this. Isn't in my notes. I don't have any. I'm just going by this. I'm just freestyling. Let me tell you what little I know about Star Wars. Several years ago, we had season tickets to the Houston Dynamo, the MLS soccer team, or football for our friends from across the pond. And we had the best seats in the whole house. And they were perfect. And it was Star Wars night. I was like, golly, okay, here we go. Because now Janine's going to laugh about this because we talked about this last week on our coaching call. Whenever I see Star Wars theme or Harry Potter, I think of the clip from Austin Powers where he goes, nerd alert. Okay, that's what I think of. Okay, whatever. Don't judge me. Okay, so anyways, the people that are in the Star Wars gear, they're like in black and white. They bring the match ball out to start the match to get take their pictures and they can start the match. And my friend was with me, and he didn't know a whole lot about Star Wars, but he knew no more about me because I know nothing about it. And I said, okay, well, I know Darth Vader is black, like he wears a black costume or whatever it's called, uniform. I said, so those guys in black definitely work for Darth Vader? And he goes, no. I said, what do you mean no? I said, the white guys, the guys in white definitely are the good guys, and the guys in black are the bad guys because their boss is black. He goes, no, the guys in the white are the bad guys, and the guys in black are the good guys. I said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. Why in the world would you do that? So anywho, okay, I don't even know where I was going with that, but it's, oh, roller coaster. Yeah. Okay, roller coaster. But then we went to Harry Potter World at Universal Florida. And I don't know what it's called. It's whatever is the motorcycle ride, the roller coaster. It's Hogwarts or Haggards, or I don't know what it's called. The ride is amazing. Amazing. But while we're standing in line, I said, is this really worth it? 2.5 hours to ride a roller coaster? I mean, it better be really good. And these people who were Harry Potter fans were saying, oh yeah, you get to go in here and you watch this, you look at this castle and whatever. I said, look, I said, don't kick me off this line. I said, I've never seen 1 second of it. I'm just asking if the ride's any good. Okay. And it was really, really good. But all that to say, you got to know if you're on a roller coaster or you're on a merry-go-round, because then that adjusts your attitude, because then it's like, okay, this is just, it's down, but generally on a roller coaster, you go down and you go up and you go up and you down, and that's the way it goes. And if you don't, okay, so then if you don't know about Brendon Burchard, he's almost died 3 or 4 times from various vehicle accidents. One, he wrecked an ATV. One, he wrecked a car. His friend, they were in Dominican Republic or Costa Rica or Puerto Rico or somewhere. And there was a curve, like a hairpin turn, and there was no sign. And they went off this thing going 80, and just tumbled down this hill. And then that's kind of where the fantastic book of his, Life's Golden Ticket, came from. And if you haven't read it, I strongly recommend you do. It is fantastic. Let's see it again, Janine. Let's see. There it is, Life's Golden Ticket. How about that? Okay. So when he got off when he got out of the wreck and he knew he was maybe going to make it, it was touch and go. He lives his life by 3 questions. Did I live? Did I love? And did I matter? And he says, when I go to bed, if I can say yes to those 3 things, it's been a good day. Now, he said, obviously I don't bat 1,000 with this because I'm a human being. I've got problems like everybody else. But did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? But then he said, what are you going to do with your second chance? Because we don't have to have a life endangering moment to have a second chance. If you haven't noticed, every single day for about the last 7,500 years, give or take, the sun comes up in the east, that's in the west. Right, Janine? Rises in the east and sets in the west. Okay, me and Janine had a little discussion because she didn't know which way east was. So I was like, which way is the sun? Like, that's in the morning. That's, for me, it's this way. Which way was it, Janine, for you?
I mean, soft gel caps.
Oh, she don't remember. Okay.
That way somewhere.
Yeah. That way somewhere. Okay. For me, it's this way. Okay. But that's the thing about a second chance. Every single day we wake up, yesterday is gone. We can't do anything about yesterday, but we can do a whole lot about today, which will predict what happens tomorrow. So that may be something to consider. Maybe you come up with your 3 questions that you ask at the end of the day. Not maybe did I live, did I love, did I matter, but what are your questions that that you've had a good day? Because we're not going to bat 1,000. We can't get everyone and everything's going to be rosy all the time. So I thought that was really good. Then he said, coaching, which is what I do. He said it's not about achievement, but alignment,
We stopped because
which I
we
really,
had-
really liked that, because once you get in aligned, things tend to flow a little bit better, because if you're doing something that you love, you don't love, but you don't hate, and it's just, okay, I pay the bills. Like Janine did with her, she's a menopause coach in the UK, and apparently a pretty good one, but it was draining her, and she didn't really, it wasn't in alignment with who she wanted to become. So she decided to make a decision to axe that, and now she's going into the space kind of like I'm in, where she's a coach and she's helping people, but once she's in that, once she's in that, she can, it's more in alignment with herself, and then time flies better when you're in alignment. Like it may be called your zone of genius. Now, Janine, this isn't on my notes, but she knows exactly what I'm about to say. So there's a guy named Steve Chandler who co-wrote this book with Rich Litvin called The Prosperous Coach, which is must-read material. If you're in anything related to coaching, you have to read this book. No questions asked. Steve Chandler says you don't need a niche, because niche rhymes with quiche, and it should stay in France. Okay. Because generally what happens is, like Janine, for example, she used to work with teenagers. She still does. She's like one of the leading driving instructors over in the UK, because apparently, Mark, I don't know where you grew up, but I was driving a car at 13.
Yeah.
Just driving around like a full size, like a big old, like Mercury Grand Marquis, those big slabs that my Meemaw used to have.
Janine, just so you know, that's not legal. It's not legal. He's illegal when he says that. Illegal.
Yeah, I think he's always illegal.
Yeah, no judgment. It's fine. Hey, a wise man once told me it's only illegal if you get caught. Okay, but anywho, that's a different story. Anyways, but apparently over in the UK, it's much more difficult to pass your driving test than us just, okay, here we go, whatever. But she has that, but now she's pivoted to, she didn't really pivot. It's just the people that are in this area are coming to find her, where she's helping them grow their businesses, because she's had several businesses for a while. But that's where the niche comes in, because if she'd have said, no, I only work with, teens and, ladies above 50, then that niche wouldn't have found her, so that's what that's about. But, and then he asked, what is in alignment for you? Which we had to think about. I mean, like he went silent, and he gave us 5 or 6 minutes to just, he played, music, and he let us think about what's in alignment for us, Then he said, which I thought was shocking, but if you look at all the people that you just personally know, this is probably accurate. He said less than 5% in the United States have no daily growth practices, meaning they're not into personal development, or they're not into whatever faith or religion that you practice. They're not into physical exercise. They're not into growing themselves. He said less than 5%. So out of everybody on this call, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 7 on here. We easily know 100 people, easily, no questions asked. Okay. But of all that, that means out of 100 people, there's less out of 100 that are on this call that have a personal development a mindset like that, because we have 7 on the call. So that'd be 7%, not 5%, which I thought that was frankly not disturbing, but my eyes lit up. I was like, oh, well, there's a whole, I only need a couple of the 95% to really make a difference in someone's life. One thing I've done is, let me see, too much hurry in our lives, overwhelmed. Yeah. Which creates personal shutdown. Yeah. 100%. Because we get up, and most of us, not everyone, but most of us sleep with their phone basically right under their pillow because they don't want to miss a single thing. FOMO is very real. And they're, oh, I love you. I love you, little phone. I love you. I love you, And then you get up, and this is your alarm or your opportunity clock, as Zig Ziglar called it. Okay. But then what do we do as soon as we wake up? Oh, let me just start reacting to the world and get on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or email or whatever. Okay. But that puts you in reaction mode all day, where you're not responding to what's happening. You're reacting, because not almost certainly, with 100% certainty, if it's an actual real emergency, like the building is on fire, I promise you're not going to get an email about it. I promise you, like, no chance. Now, there's a difference though between someone else's emergency and the actual building being on fire. But I mean, could you imagine your literally house is on fire and one of your neighbors sees you? I'm just going to email him. He'll get it when he gets it. No chance. Absolutely no chance. They're going to call you. Okay. But let me tell you what I've done. Since January 1st, I have not missed a day yet on my morning routine. What's today? Today is the 124th day of the year. Can you believe it, folks? 124 days. Okay. I'm 124 for 124. And on Thursday mornings, we have small group at church, and it starts at 5:45, which means today I got up at 4:35 so I could do it before I went to small group. But here's what I did that's worked for me. First off, I moved this into this room and I sleep in that room. So I'm not reacting to the day as soon as I wake up, because we all know this one, right? I'm just going to check social media, and it's been 45 minutes and you've watched 7 cat videos and 3 videos you've seen 55 times already. You can already quote the video, and then you're already in your email and you're just reacting. Again, but Mark, if I'm awake and if I respond to you, because I'm pretty quick responding to text message. If you call me and I'm awake, I'm your man. No problem. I'll do whatever you want.
Oh,
but
that's so sweet.
I'm telling you, at 3 a.m., it's not happening.
But
no buts, because it's in here on silent and I'm in there asleep like a baby, because I sleep gloriously just about every single day of the week. But all that being said, here's what I do. I get up and I've added some stuff from this conference that I was not doing before then. So now it's even a little bit longer, but I added 2 or 3 minutes worth of stuff. But what I do is, today's Thursday, Mark asked me if I'm committed to doing my morning routine on Saturday.
Are you committed to doing your morning routine on Saturday, David?
100% no. Ask me if I'm committed to do it tomorrow.
Are you committed to do your routine tomorrow, David?
100% yes.
Right on.
Because whenever, like, that goes to the overwhelm that you said earlier, whenever we get so, like, I'm going to commit to this morning routine every single day for the rest of my life, you miss one day and you're like, screw it. Like I've missed one, it's over. And let's just go back to binge watching Netflix or Ted Lasso or whatever. And let's just eat a bunch of Cheetos. Okay. But I'm 100% not committed to my morning routine any day past tomorrow. 100% no. And if you had a lie detector on me and I told you if I mean that, I mean that. I'm 100% not committed because I don't want to get overwhelmed. But I'm committed to doing it tomorrow. So if we break that down to where it's one day at a time or the next day, then things can happen. I talked with Jill, who's on the call. I talked with Jill just yesterday about this exact same thing. She's going to start walking, which is awesome. We're supposed to walk and everyone loves walking, or everyone should love walking. I said, don't commit to doing it Friday, because this was yesterday. I said, just commit to doing it tomorrow only. So that's one of my things I do for my growth practices, which like I said, I'm 124 for 124, which by any stretch of the imagination is pretty good. 124 for 124 is, I'll take it. I mean, you can't do much better than batting 1,000. Okay. You can't bat over 1,000. But then Brendon Burchard said, and I've heard him say this before, but I haven't seen him do it to this depth. Think about like a nuclear power plant. The nuclear power plant doesn't generate the energy that everyone uses, to power their houses or whatever. They don't create the energy, they generate the energy. Because then we can think of our lives as a power plant where you can generate the energy whenever you want to generate the energy. You can change your mindset. You can change, like, say, I heard, I think he said something like this, like, imagine if we all have kids, or we've ever been around kids, or we know someone who has a kid, like a baby, and the baby starts laughing, like you can't help but smile about that. But then the brain can't determine a vividly imagined event or an actual event that's actually happening. So in your mind, you could go, yeah, Judy had it correct. The power plant doesn't have energy, it generates it. They don't have the energy there. They've got to create it or generate it from the resources. But whenever you have that, you could get still, shut your eyes, and you could think about looking at that child laughing, and then all of a sudden your mood starts to improve because your brain can't tell the difference. But then he said, we want to get you to where we start feeling the day again. Now, I have a different commute every day because I don't know where I'm going. But like, say you have a regular 9-to-5 job, for the most part, you're going to drive the exact same way every single day to work. Every day, unless there's a detour or something they make you go somewhere else. But if you can go your way, then you're going to go that way. But then things become where you don't remember getting in your car, and all of a sudden you're at your job, because that's like the merry-go-round. Because you don't know where it's like, okay, whatever, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to hit this light, and then I'm going to go back, I'm going to take a right, and I'm there, But then he said one thing you could do on that is, maybe if you have you go to church, or you go to the gym, or you go wherever, try a different route. Because then you got to be somewhat more alert, because you may not know exactly where you're going, because it makes our mind work. And then he said, generating the energy you want to feel is the great unlock of life. Because you can always generate the energy. Then he had us go through some exercises, which was pretty interesting. Like we stood up. I'm not going to stand up because then you can't hear me. But we stood up, And he said, put your arms out like this. And he said, twist one way and try to see how far you can go. Like we'd twist. Okay. And then we'd see where our fingers were pointing. And he said, mark that spot on the wall. Then we'd twist the other way and we would mark that spot on the wall. Like say I could go to say that corner, okay, by the sign. Then we did I think it was called Qigong, I think is what it was called. And you cup your hands like this and you start tapping like on your shoulders, on your neck, on your arms. And then we bent down and we hit like our kidneys, like down here, like kind of bent like a 45 and kind of hit our kidneys, not smashed them, just kind of tapped our back. And then he says, okay, let's do the same thing again. And then we did like 10 air squats with breathing. Because a lot of times when we breathe, you can always tell if you're breathing deeply, because if you breathe like this, like watch my shoulders, that's not a deep breath. If your shoulders don't move and it's like your belly expands, like you're blowing up a balloon, that's like diaphragmic, if that's even a word, breathing, where you get more oxygen pumping through your body because you're breathing how you're supposed to breathe, not like kind of shallow where your shoulders go up and down. The best way to think about it is lay down on your back and put your hands on your stomach. And if your hands aren't going like this while you're breathing, you're not breathing deep. But so he would say, I want to hear you. Like if your neighbor can't hear you breathing, you're not breathing deeply enough. So imagine 2,000 people and it was, but then that gets your blood flowing. So then after we did all this and this, and, like under here and our backs, then we turn again. And I probably went, if I was looking at the wall and say that corner was where I went, I probably went to this board just by opening your body and breathing. But then it's like, how do you feel compared to when you were sitting 3 minutes ago? He's like, raise your hand if you feel worse. And nobody's got their hand up because we're moving, because generally movement in our body creates movement between our ears, for the most part. Then, he said, bring the joy. That was one of his things, is bring the joy. Then he said, and this really hit me. He said, if the only challenges you're facing at the moment is only what life has thrown at you, you haven't started living a conscious life. You're only in reaction mode. Similar to like the social media first thing in the morning. You're adjusting your agenda to everyone else's agenda. Because for the most part, when you get on social media, and I'm guilty, I get on social media. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have social media, but whenever you do that, comparison starts to come in. Because for the most part on social media, you don't get the knockdown drag out where somebody just put their fist through a sheetrock wall. It's everyone's color coordinated and the pictures are perfect or they're edited or whatever. And then you start to compare. My life is in the tank or the toilet, and their life, look, they're in Reno or they're in wherever. They're, at the Metropolitan Opera or whatever. Okay. But what you don't see on social media is maybe they just cuss their spouse out, or their kid is got a DUI or is on drugs or whatever. Okay. Or they're failing in school or they're struggling in school. You don't see all that because we put our pretty picture on. One more time for what, Mark?
You gave a quote a second ago, and that's when I asked you to do it. And then you went into the explanation of something. So it's your last quote.
About the challenges?
I think so.
Okay. If the only challenges you're facing at the moment is only what life has thrown at you. You haven't started a conscious life. You haven't started living a conscious life. You're only living a reaction life, not a, like you're actively noticing stuff and then maybe getting your shields up to like not let that into your space. Was that it? If that wasn't it, I don't know what else you mean after that.
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
You said it and then you went into an explanation and I just didn't get to write it down.
Oh yeah, no problem. So then what he said was, whenever you start seeing yourself being in reaction mode, pause, reset, like become aware that you're aware, and then start generating the energy you want to feel and then go that way. Then he said this. Now, if you don't know about Brendon Burchard, okay, he charges. He said it's for a year, but he said we're basically done in 6 months. So he said it's basically 6 months. He charges $1 million for coaching.
Oh.
$1 million, as in like pay the man. Okay. So like one of his clients is someone who you've probably heard of. Her name's Oprah. Yeah, that's one of his clients. Okay. Another one of his clients, I think he said, is, Usher, as in like the music guy. That's one of his clients too. And he has top 50 CEOs as clients. Okay. But he says, then he said, over these next few days, he said, you're going to hear a lot of stuff. He said, just be open. And like he said, basically, he said, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Because you may not agree with everything that's said, but it doesn't matter. Eat, take in what does apply to you and then just discard the rest. You don't have to do anything. And he said, people ask him, why should we listen to you or why should we work with you? And what he said is basically what I can say too. He said, I've been happy since I was 14 years old. And I've been happy, not that I don't have bad days, but like somebody said earlier, somebody asked me earlier, you always kind of so even keel and like you kind of have things going for you. She said, are you like this every day? I said, no. I said, I got bad days like everybody else. I said, but the overwhelming majority, 8 out of 10, at least, I've got pretty good days and I'm happy for the most part, So Brendon said, I've been happy since I was 14. Because a lot of people, if you get right down to it, like if you ever watched the movie Ant-Man, where they inject that truth serum into the people. If you had a lot of people and you injected that stuff in them and you said, are you really happy? A lot of people would say, no, they're not. But I'm, for the most part, I'm relatively happy. Then he said, I've walked the path. And he said, I live my life with integrity, which I thought was really good. And mind you, this was the first hour and a half, maybe. And like I said, I could have taken way more notes, but that's all. That's about as fast as my hand could write. But then what he did was he had built-in networking opportunities where you could meet some of your other people. We always got groups of 5, and we had, say, 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes to introduce ourselves. And then, what are you most grateful for at this stage of life? And you could say whatever you wanted. Okay. And then it said, what's the thing you need to work on most right now? Which I thought was a great question. And then, what's a big goal for your life? And then, what do you need help with? I met a lady on one of the groups, not this day, but another day. she was going to be on the Food Network. I can't remember what she was going to do, but she was a chef at like I think her show on Food Network aired like last week. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but she said she needed some help with a publisher or something, but somebody in the group knew one. It's like, hey, I got someone, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then Ed Milet got up, and we're not going to Ed Milet today because we've got enough for the day. Ed Milet got up and he gave the best speech I've ever heard live in my life. And I've heard a lot of them. I mean, miles better than anything I've ever heard. And next week, I'm going to do it at the same time next week too. Next week, this is Ed Milet stuff right here. We're going to go over this pyramid. He called it the 10 levels of mastery. And yeah, so all that to say, if you get a chance to go to a Brendon Burchard event, I would highly encourage you to do so. I mean, it was amazing. And then all that to say, two other things. Well, first off, does anybody have any questions or anything that they've heard that they've liked or they want to ask a question about?
I've got a question.
Okay.
So when you do the GrowthDay app, how much time do you spend a day on it?
Well, the answer is that depends. So like the Daily Fire with Brendon Burchard that comes out every day, some days it's 8 or 9 minutes, but the one today is 32 minutes. But what I do is I let it play, and then I go to the home screen and it still plays. Then I journal about what he's talking about so I can keep track of it. But so like the one today is called Is the Sacrifice Worth It? That's what the title of it's called. Okay. And it's 28 minutes and 13 seconds. But by the time I'm listening to it and then journaling while he's speaking, it may take me 32, 33, 35 minutes because I'm going to go back and I got to capture what he says. I want to capture what he says. But the one yesterday was like 12.
Okay.
But just the actual journal part, not the Daily Fire. The actual journal part takes, in the morning, it takes 2 minutes maybe, because they prompt you on questions.
Okay, right.
And then you fill it in, and then it prompts you with about seven or 8 questions, give or take. And you fill it in, like, who needs me to be on my A game today? If something comes up, how would your best self handle it? And then you just answer. And then the evening, it's kind of the same deal, like a prompting. It's 2 minutes maybe. But then at the end of the day, you can do what they call your life score, which is talking about these qualities: clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. And you rate yourself every day. And then what I like about it is whenever you say you rate yourself 1 to 5, 5 being awesome and 1 being not very awesome, say you rate yourself and your score is 70, it'll recommend videos that you can go watch to maybe improve that score the next day.
Oh, that's really good.
And they may be the videos at this GrowthDay event. It was mostly Brendon Burchard because it was his event. Ed Milet spoke for probably hour and a half, 2 hours, give or take, hour and a half or so, give or take. Then it was Brendon Burchard again. That was basically day one. Then the second day was Brendon Burchard. And then it was some people I had never heard of. It was Brendon, and then it was Jamie Kern-Lima, who sold It Cosmetics for, say it with me, boys and girls, 1.2 billion with a B.
Wow.
1.200 comma 000 comma 000 if you're keeping score at home. Okay, 1.2 billion. Okay. She went for almost 2 hours. Brendon said, and over the next few weeks, I'm going to go over what all these people said. But what Jamie said after she got done, Brendon came out and kind of like, hey, she's still backstage. Let's give her a round of applause. He said I think he said 18 years pre-COVID, he did, I think he said 8 of these events a year. 8 for like 18 years straight. Like he never missed one. And he said, Jamie Kern Lima came up and asked me for something that I've never been asked for at one of these deals. She said, okay, yeah, no problem. No problem, Mark. I'll send you the replay. He said that she asked him for 4 hours to speak. 4 hours.
Wow.
And he said, I wasn't mad at her. He said, I like your style. So he ended up giving her like 45 minutes longer than she was going to get. She went for 2 hours. She was supposed to go like an hour, 15 hour, 20, and she went 2 hours and she could have went 3 easily. No question. She could have went 3. But one thing she said, and I'll go into more about this. She heard so many no's. No. I mean, just all over the place. She said, figure out your why and fly, girl, fly. Which obviously I'm not a girl, but figure out your why and fly, guy, fly. But girl, just fly, girl, fly. It sounds better. But okay, so then she got off. And then a guy named Anthony Trucks came on, who I've never heard of either. He was a former NFL guy. And he talked about doing the dark work, doing the work when the lights aren't on. Because that's what pros do. You know, they don't care about your feelings. Like, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to work. Because when the lights are on, they've already done their reps. Okay. Then Brendon Burchard came on again and had another deal. Then a guy named Trent Shelton, who I've never heard of either, he got up, just fire, truth bomb, nugget. He was awesome. And then Brendon Burchard came on again and talked about distractions, which we're going to talk about. And then a lady named Lori Harder came on, who again, I've never heard of. She was like a 3-time national fitness champion. And she gave a great talk. And I've got 2 or 3 pages of what she's talking about. Then Brendon Burchard came on again and said more stuff for another 2 or 3 hours. And then the final day, Brendon Burchard came on. He had a little teaching. Then a guy named Mel Abraham, who is another guy I've never heard of, who's like a financial guy. Like when Michael Jackson died and they had to value his estate, the state of California called Mel Abraham. Like, he's that level. And he gave a fire talk. And then Brendon Burchard came out and closed it out. Okay. But the thing I like about the GrowthDay app is, say you're searching for something and you need help with a relationship or whatever. You can go on the search and they have all these courses and you can filter by the person and the topic, and it brings up the person's course on the app. And it's all free. I mean, it's not free. You pay for the app, but then all that stuff's included. And there's prompts to, like, say you have a plan and you want to do this and you've got, this step. Your app can prompt you and it'll alert you when it's, hey, you said you're going to do that this time. Here's your alert. Like, maybe, because then one of the things Brendon said was, he said, we get so tired sitting on Zoom all day. He said, if you want to look at the science and the numbers, He said every 52 minutes, you should take an 8-minute break. You should take a break 8 minutes out of every hour, whether you stand up or you get away from your computer or whatever. He said 52 minutes is the magic number. He said, I do mine 50. He said, every 10 minutes, every hour, I don't do anything. I take a break. Because then he said something which I've never heard of before. You know, how a lot of times we're on screens all day, and it might have been a very taxing day mentally, and you might get a little bit of a headache. He said most headaches are because of eye strain, not mental strain. Because our eyes are tied directly to our, like, here's our brain. So he said, part of that, say 8 minutes an hour or 10 minutes an hour, he said, you need to shut your eyes and give your eyes a break, which I'd never heard of, which I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Cause you know, how many times are we blowing and going and we're going 9-0 and we just kind of like close our eyes and breathe. And it's like, golly, my eyes are like physically resting, like they feel better. So all that being said, I do have a link if you want to sign up for Growth Day. Now it's my link, but there's a free trial on it. There's 3 different ways you could do it. There's like I don't know what the 3 levels are. There's like a basic, and then I think it's called Pro is like the mid-tier one, and the all access one is where you get everything. It's $500 for the year for all access. And also starting Monday, like 3 days from now, Monday, Ed Milet, he's going to give an exclusive video to all access members where it's not going to be anywhere else. It's not going to be his podcast. It's not going to be on his Instagram. It's all going to be there. But the deal is with that one, the Daily Fire, the Ed Milet video also goes away on Monday at midnight. So you gotta watch it, or you don't have to, but it just goes away. And then also on that app, every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock my time, Anthony Trucks or Brendon Burchard or Lori Harder comes on and does an hour-long teaching about whatever the subject is that day. And that's all free too. And then you get the replays of that. So you can go back and look. He said there's thousands of them because they've had this for about two and a half years. There's not thousands of those, but if you talk about the courses and the other groups, you could easily, no questions asked, spend 3 hours a day for a year in this app, and you wouldn't even scratch the surface because every single day there's new stuff coming out. But if that's something you're interested in, or anybody's interested in it, I would at least encourage you to look at just try it out for the free trial and see what you think about it. I mean, if anything, after 14 days, you just delete it and you don't worry about it. No harm, no foul. But if you want something, Judy, I will, and I'm closing out right now. I'll send you the link. What I'll do is I'm going to use the same Zoom link next week, because next week we're going to talk about what Ed Milet said. So if you're interested in Growth Day, again, that is my link. But if that's something you're interested in, click on that link and you can sign up for the free trial. And then, pending you don't, if you want it, it'll hit your card. If you don't want it, you just get rid of it. It's no big deal. No harm, no foul. But thanks for being here today. This literally did not exist. What I was going to do today, this did not exist Monday. This didn't exist Sunday. Monday morning, my coach said, why don't you hop on a Zoom and talk about your notes? Okay. So Sunday, 5 days ago, this did not exist. But I like it because I'm trying to help y'all. So I hope y'all got something, at least one thing that you can implement to live a better life. And like I said, I put that link in the chat, and I'll put it on Facebook too. Janine, what'd you take from the call?
very interesting about the growth app and give me more. I mean, I'm interested in it, but I just wanted to hear more about it. So it's kind of giving me a bit more clarity. And also I like the part where you were saying about like having a morning routine. I definitely need that. I need to implement that every day. And the other bit I liked was when you were saying about people like I can't remember when they're like kind of oh, what was it you said? Something about I can't remember.
The merry-go-round.
No, it was that when people are bettering themselves. So oh, I can't remember. I've got menopause brain. Sorry.
I don't know anything about that. But so when
it was a bit of when you were saying about people
not living a conscious life.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's
like that. Yeah.
If the only challenges you're facing at the moment is only what life has thrown at you, you haven't started living a conscious life. You're only living a reaction life.
Yeah. So that's for me, that meant I was really pleased with that because I thought I am leading a conscious life because I am aiming for the future and my dreams and everything. So
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very
okay.
Thank you.
So Jill, Tina, thanks for showing up as well. Thanks for Judy. Thanks for Mark. Thanks for April. Okay, Tina just said that was true for her too. So thanks for y'all coming today. Again, there's the link. I'm going to put it in the Facebook thing too. Tell your friends. And this, I'm not going to charge for this. Tell your friends. At least for the next couple of weeks, for sure. It'll be the same time a week from now, Thursday at 2:00. And next week, we're going to talk about what Ed Mallett talked about, which was fire. So thanks for joining me today. And we'll see y'all soon. If I can help in any way, don't hesitate to reach out. Y'all have a great one.
And you. Bye.
Bye. Awesome.